think we're going. I do and do I do. As you come on in, please, if you're on a mobile device, shoot some kind of awesome emoji. I love emojis, and on my end, the broadcaster's end, the way they look is super cool. It's very, very cool. Like lights up my screen. So me like a little kid with emojis over here not that long ago. I didn't like them at all. And here I'm asking you to send some. So how about a shift in paradigm for me? I want to warmly welcome you to SEM Mondays, my weekly live Q&A show here on YouTube. And gosh, I do indeed hope that everything is good on your end. You know, there's a lag, and it's always pretty awkward to have that lag and to not be sure that everything's good. But I'm going to go under the looks good on my side, hopefully looks good on your side. SEM Mondays is one of the best ways that I can continue to support you on your journey with Source Energy Medicine. If you are new, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Click that awesome bell icon, because that way you don't have to worry about emails and things like that. You just click that bell icon, and YouTube will let you know when I'm live or when I upload a new video to our channel. So SEM Mondays is for you. It's a place for you to be able to ask me questions live. Each week, God willing, I'm here at 11:11 Mountain Standard Time. And since COVID started, seems like a lifetime ago, I have been including group energy healing sessions as a way to be able to continue to support you on an ongoing basis. And I don't have any questions that have come in from the various ways that questions come in between weeks. So if there's any folks who are here with me live, you can go ahead and type your questions into the chat. Just be aware that as as YouTube warns you or advises you, remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community guidelines. Just be sensitive about what you put in the chat, right? It's an open community forum. Anyone can read your comments in your chat. So some folks prefer to email me ahead of time with what they would like to share about their perceived difficulty, right? Some people are experiencing some things that are very sensitive in nature, and certainly typing that in the chat would probably not be best for anyone. So you can always email me. My direct email is always included in the show notes. So any SEM Mondays that you're checking out, just I believe it says Seymour, whatever it says below the player, click that. You'll see all of the information with all of the important links. If you're totally new to Source Energy Medicine, you have to check out the Quick Start Guide. It contains everything that's essential. It's where our charging labels are, electronic copy of my book, how to take Source Energy Medicine video, and a whole lot more. There's a whole bunch of videos in there that I think are, well, I know that it's because it's everything, right, that you that's required really in terms of learning. I try to keep it very concise and direct and to the point, and no fluff or filler, just all of the information that you need to know, not only just to get started with Source Energy Medicine. And of course, SEM Mondays is a great way to be able to support you to continue to take Source Energy Medicine. But, it has a sample protocol that you'll be following throughout your entire journey with Source Energy Medicine. So, oh, that's awesome. Ryan and Judith. Ryan lives here in Colorado, and she's visiting her mom in California. And they say hello. That's awesome. Thank you, Marty, for the beautiful flowers and the heart emoji. Since I don't have any questions and I don't see anything in the chat, there actually shouldn't say there haven't been any questions. There haven't been any technical questions about taking suggestions for different Source Energy medicines, but there have been a lot of questions about this new non-material Source Energy Medicine Sessions Club. And the non-material aspect of Source Energy Medicine is what we call as a community, the energy healing modality. It's what you're about to experience shortly. based on, there were a lot of different factors that came together. A big part of it was this recent masterclass that we did in which we explored healing on the soul level and the emotional body level. And when I do a non-material source energy medicine session, when I facilitate one, there's several different things, several different approaches, several different styles of sessions that I can do. And what we're going to explore in the Sessions Club is very unique. So, what I do in SEM Mondays, I certainly can't do everything that I do when I work one-on-one with a client. And yet what I offer here on SEM Mondays is I'm able to do with a group everything that's essential to your physical health and well-being, just to help to ensure that you stay well during this pandemic, right? And then when I work one-on-one with a client, we're able to do so many things, really take advantage of the illusion in time, roll back and forth in time. And of course, we get to work on individual goals and challenges where I know what you're wanting to work on because you share it with me, and then we go through it. And we have numerous approaches to be able to transform, balance, and restore. It gets very, very creative, and there's really nothing. One thing that's really, I think, important for you to know is the energy work is different than the charging labels, even though it's the same technology. The energy work is infinitely more flexible, and there are a lot of things that we can't put into a charging label, right? Like the shields that we explored in the soul and emotional body workshop, right? To be able to protect the soul so that other life experiences that my soul is having don't influence this current one, right? And same is true for the emotional body. There are several shields that we use, and just impossible to put that into a charging label. I wish we could, but at this point we can't. And I constantly ask, is there a way? Is there a way? And that's a lot of my ongoing research. But this new Sessions Club is kind of a middle ground between working one-on-one with a client and what I offer in some Mondays, in that I can do a whole lot more in the session. I will offer a whole lot more in the Sessions Club than I can offer on SEM Mondays. And yet it's not going to go as far as working one-on-one, right? So, ultimately, I think in an ideal world, everyone would explore the non-material aspect of source energy medicine one-on-one with one of our practitioners. That's as simple and straightforward as I can say it. And I say that because it's the fastest, it's the easiest, it's the most direct way for you to be able to experience our technology and for you to be able to progress on your healing journey. And regardless of what avenue of source energy medicine you're exploring, you're always healing yourself. And the pace you set, right? The depth, the tone, the tempo. So, there's the number one question that I receive, and this has been true since 2004, is essentially, what can I expect, right? What's going to happen when I take source energy medicine? What can I expect to experience? And there's a video on our YouTube channel where I talk about that, and I think it's titled something like that. And if you just type into Google search or search on YouTube, source energy medicine and expectations, it'll come up. It's included in our quick start guide, and it explains all of the reasons why you are the one that is not only always healing yourself, but you're the one that is responsible for your experience. You're the one that sets the speed and all of those things, right? Healing is such a unique individual process. It's such a unique individual journey that there's a lot to it. And it's important for you to understand, because there are things that I can do, there's things I have done to facilitate the process, speed the process up. And a lot of that has to do with working on what I would characterize as conscious and the unconscious side of the healing equation. Source energy medicine, to a large degree, the realm of the subconscious mind is where source energy medicine is primarily the most helpful, and certainly spills over into the conscious. But exploring the unconscious is up to each of us, right? And the unconscious mind is simply conscious beliefs that I hold to be true that I don't know I hold them. And that's lethal. If I don't know I believe something is true, then I am creating my reality unconsciously, right? Because I have these unconscious beliefs that are influencing my day-to-day life. They're influencing my health. They're influencing my finances. They're influencing my relationships. They're influencing everything, right? My career, my creativity, everything, right? So I hope that makes sense. And the non-material source energy medicine sessions club, we're going to meet once a month on Zoom in a private community setting, small groups of people, and I will use the registration roster and go down the list of the participants. And we first start with a group energy healing session, but once all of that is complete, then I focus love and intention and attention on every single participant. And the participants aren't going to know the order, and they're not going to know when I'm focusing on them. And yet, it's a similar style session that I offered in the Soul Master class. And I heard from probably a quarter, maybe even closer to a half of the participants that they could feel when I was working with them, and they felt it in a good way. For me, and what I hear from a lot of people is it just their body warms up. They absolutely feel unconditional love for me. It just feels like being wrapped in a really warm blanket, like, maternal kind of love, right? It feels like my mother wrapping me in a blanket of unconditional love and, and caressing me. And, I don't know about you, but that is, such a precious experience for me and time that I so value. And then, for the folks that don't feel anything, they don't know when I'm connecting with them, it really doesn't matter. And, in terms of the outcome, right? In terms of the experience, in terms of the measurable results, some people see things and hear things, and other people, it's just kind of quiet, peaceful relaxation time. So, I am highly confident that we each have the ability to use our extra senses, right? Our ability to hear things that aren't in quote unquote our physical world, right? Gary Zukov talks about becoming a multisensory human, and that's the evolution that we've been on the last 25 or more years. And it is, intuition is absolutely a gift, and it's a gift that each of us possess. And the question is, have you unwrapped it, and have you been playing with it? And most of all, do you trust it, right? Because more often than not, the guidance, at least that I receive, is not like what I want to hear, but it's what I need to hear. And so often it's it has a tendency of bringing up anger in me, because I don't want to hear that, and yet once I choose to switch that anger, which is all fear-based, right? Like I'm afraid of, that part of myself that I can't see, and that's why relying on your non-physical guides and angels and teachers, your higher self, it's like being a tennis player and being able to, you have the resources to be able to hire a coach that coaches professional level players. It's like you hire a coach like that because you hit a plateau, right? And they will see what you can't see. And that's what it's like when you recognize that you have a higher self, and you're surrounded by angels and saints and guides that are here to help you, to help to facilitate your healing, to help you on your soul's journey, to help you to work off karma. Because, everything that I always experience, and I'm using me as the example, but this is true for you. This is completely impersonal. This is universal laws. But everything, always, without exception, that I experience has two purposes. One, to help me to heal my soul, or two, to help me to balance karma, right? To help me to set things right, if you will, right? And there's positive and negative karma. And the more I recognize that, from that perspective, there is no victim, because from that perspective, I asked for, I begged for, I prayed for everything in my life experience, for the healing of my soul and for the settling of karma, if you will, right? To be able to have all of that just completely resolved, right? And to literally break free of the wheel of karma. And then at that point, it's just, progressing as a soul. And so many folks who are drawn to source energy medicine or attracted to source energy medicine are because they're very advanced souls. They're very high souls. And, I'm saying this because it's been my experience since 2004. And I've come to understand the reason why is source energy medicine has technology that helps the physical aspect of my being to get into alignment with my soul. It helps the mental, the emotional, the spiritual aspects to all get into alignment, right? It's like if you've ever seen any of these cool instruments that measure the energy in your chakras when they're out of balance. They're all over the place. And it's not helpful, right? So the goal is to have all of your chakras in alignment and balanced and thriving. And certainly that's a part of what source energy medicine explores. But when the physical aspect is over here and the mental aspect is over here and the emotional body is there, it's like we have all of these detached and suppressed and repressed and fragmented parts of our being. And that is very, very true for specifically our soul body. And that's, it's one of the reasons why we did an entire masterclass on helping us to heal the soul and the emotional body, because they are the two most fragmented parts of our being. And it's that fragmentation that leads to difficulty and challenge that I experience physically, mentally, emotionally, and every other way that I can experience this life, right? Absolutely influences my finances, absolutely influences my relationships, my career, everything. So it's, never, ever, ever before has it been vitally important to have physical well-being, right? To be able to thrive physically and to know exactly what to do should you feel not well, right? Should you feel like something is coming on. And, and that's what the Emergency Preparedness Masterclass that we produced last year is all about. And, put all of that together. And to me, I'm like, let's just get to work, right? Because, while I haven't worked on anything in terms of physical challenges since 2004, which is still hard for me to grasp, I've been absolutely doing work this entire time with karma, right? And I hope, my intention has been to work on my soul, and I hope I have made some pretty good progress all of these years. But there's always going to be work to do. If you see it as that, right? The work is always, right? This, what I am perceiving as a difficulty or something unwanted, is really the answer to my prayers. So when I take that point of view, it's very empowering, right? Because this is a gift to help me to get into alignment. And the opposite is to be completely disempowered and essentially a victim, like very specifically a victim. I'm a victim of circumstances or conditions or skin color or economics or geographical location. And when I recognize that all of those, everything, all of those things I just mentioned are to help me to heal as a soul, to help me to advance as a soul, and to help me to balance karma, right? Turn negative karma into positive karma. So, staying the reality that everything in my life that I've ever experienced, from my first breath to this current breath that I am exhaling, is here to wake me up, to help me to heal, and to help to balance my karma, then I recognize that I can learn through difficulty, adversity, lack, limitation, pain, or I can learn through grace and wisdom and love. I'm going to learn the same lessons either way. We get to choose. And yet, the default mechanism, because of the nature of the physical world that we live in, the mortal world, a human-created world, not the divine world, and this is why there's a difference between heaven and earth. In the earth plane, Gary Zukov calls this the earth school, which I love. In the earth school, the default mechanism, right, the default curriculum is pain and suffering and lack and limitation and adversity and dis-ease and bankruptcy and divorce and addiction, serious addiction. And yet, once I get that I created that, then I can consciously engage with the universe and say, look, this game so far has, I almost said has been awesome, and yet that would be such a lie. It was interesting, it was intriguing, it was helpful for sure, and yet I think there's another way. How about we just simply change the channel, right? Tune into a different program, change curriculum, change schools, right? Well, you're not really changing schools because they're both the earth school, but one is the school of hard knocks, really, which can be the fast road to spiritual growth. And yet I think that's an old paradigm belief, right? I believe that these days the fast road is to recognize I'm not a victim, I'm an all-powerful creator, and I'm so powerful that I could create lack, limitation, dis-ease, that I could create and heal and progress and advance and thrive every way that we can experience thriving through love, through grace, through ease, through wisdom. And that game, I'm not alone. I am so not alone. Not only do I have on that path very different playmates, physical form playmates, but I have also access to non-physical teachers that are different than the school of adversity. So it's fascinating. If any of this is speaking to you, or I think even worse, if it's like completely pissing you off, that's good. I think that, and I'm not doing it intentionally to annoy you or to aggravate you, because I love you. And, most of the folks in our community I don't even know, never got an email from, never spoke to. And yet I love you because I understand that we're all one. We're all a fragment of the same soul. And, loving you is the absolute best thing that I possibly can do. And I know that if I have this awareness, then, and like waking you up, there's going to be maybe some pain in helping to wake you up, then I'm okay with that, because I know eventually you'll thank me. Might be after you stop breathing, but eventually you'll thank me. And Course in Miracles teaches us that it's far better to have some brief moments of severe uncomfortableness, right? Severe upset, severe anger, severe pain, than a lifetime of numbness and suffering and being a victim. So, swallowing the fact that I created the things in my life that I would think were like the worst things that have happened to me, is tough, right? And yet, it happened to me because I was creating my life unconsciously. And once you begin to create your life consciously, and you tell the universe every single morning, you make a declaration of creation, right? I want to, I choose, I can, I am able to, right? I choose from an empowered perspective. I choose to create this day through love. I choose to continue to heal my soul through love, through wisdom, through grace. And I can't do it alone. I need your help. Now, the help comes from the source of all creation. Help comes from my higher self. Help comes from ascended masters and angels. And sometimes the angels show up in physical form. And we were talking a couple of weeks ago, and sometimes they show up in an alien costume. I'm talking about a real, a being from another planet, right, or another dimension. And yet we have access to it all. And it just is a matter of, am I open to working and playing knowingly with the source of all creation, or would I rather continue to stay asleep and a victim of my circumstances, victim of my conditions, victim of my environment, the economy, the color of my skin, geographical location, education, the parents. There's so many things that I can either be a victim to or recognize that this is the drama that I wrote. I wrote it before I got here, and then I forgot. I wrote this. I woke up one day in this human costume, and then I've been trying to figure it out, right, for me for quite a while. And yet, it's never too late to wake up. It's never too late to get it right. So many people get it when they're literally on their deathbed taking their last breaths. And, witnessing my mother die and the years that led up to both my parents dying 2 days apart, that not only was a massive wake-up call for me, but I got to have the grace of being able to choose things differently without judgment, right? Just being able to see what they did and choose something else, right? Choose other things food-wise, choose other things relationship-wise, choose other things in so many ways, right? And yet I am so grateful to the souls that played my parents, because they played the roles that they played and made all the choices they made for me, and that's a crazy thing to really grasp. And I think of everyone who I would characterize as a perpetrator in my life, I created them too, right? Because I didn't get it, and I was learning through adversity and through being victim. So it's, it's never too late to start. And, if you're ever unsure of what you're creating, just simply ask. You can ask your higher self, and your higher self will not lie to you. Your personality and your ego will lie all day, every day, because they'll tell you what you think you want to hear, and your higher self always tells you what you need to hear. But behind everything that I choose to do, there are one of two intentions, right? There are one or two motives. One is love, and the other is fear. That's it, right? So you can always change an intention. You can always recognize that, I started that project, or I started that relationship, or I started this life experience from a place of fear. And now I'm going to change. I'm going to consciously change. I'm going to say enough of that, and let's try something else. And the something else is love. And it takes diligence, and it takes persistence, and it takes consistency. And it takes, for me, just this fierce determination to not go back to sleep, to not go back to creating unconsciously, to not go back to being a victim, but to accept responsibility, no matter how bitter and really foul, nasty tasting it is, and just recognize that, if I'm so powerful I created that, then I can create anything. And right here in this moment, I'm going to choose to create only from a place of love. Every intention that I have, for every action that I engage in, is always going to be to love myself or love another. So it's, I think it's pretty interesting, because every once in a while there's like this SEM Mondays where, like, if I had never did another SEM Monday before and this was all you had, you'd be okay. You'd be great. The question is, when are you ready to hear it? And when are you ready to take action, right? When are you ready to embrace it? And my invitation is, don't just take it as truth because I said so, but try it. Try it on. Try it on for 60 days, 90 days. Try this experiment in creating your life out of love. Try and looking at everything that you created out of fear and recognize, that's the harsh reality. And yet you can change your intention. It's not like you have to close a business or change relationships or, move geographically. But you do have to move your intention. You have to move your intention from fear to love. And that's the absolute best move that you could ever possibly make. And, if any of this is the least bit interesting to you, since this Soul Masterclass, so here's a phenomenal, here's the way my life works. A documentary that was shot in 1969 was just released, and it's called The Summer of Soul. And, I was born in 61, and I grew up in Newark, New Jersey, in the urban part of Newark. And, 1969 was I 8 years old, and yet the music of, it's so the documentary's from the Harlem Music Festival from 1969. And so many of the artists from that appeared at that festival, even though I didn't know what was going on, I wasn't listening. My parents didn't take me. My older brothers didn't take me. I was 8 years old, although my sister could have taken me. But it was the same summer as Woodstock, interestingly enough. And so Stevie Wonder, the Mavis Staples, Nina Simone, Sly and the Family Stone. Just so many, Mongo Santa Maria, so many of the artists. I still ask my smart speaker to play all of them all of the time. So, so I think I'm watching this, this documentary to reminisce, and, that is the soundtrack to my life, not just soundtrack to my youth. And yet it's about so much more than the music. It is about healing our souls. It's about healing our collective soul as well as our individual souls. So I have adopted the title from that documentary because this is my Summer of Soul, in that we did the Soul Master class. All of the work that I've been doing these last really 8 months, 9 months, I would characterize as soul work. And emotional body work for sure too. So this is absolutely not just the Summer of Soul, but it's like the year of soul for me. And so from the masterclass, I started revisiting Gary Zukav's work, and first actually listened to Universal Human, which I highly, highly, highly recommend. But if you haven't first read Seat of the Soul, you just absolutely have to read or listen to that book. Now, I have at least a dozen friends who I've said, and I knew they had that book sitting on their bookshelf because I had that book sitting on my bookshelf for more than 20 years, and I never read it. I thought I'd read it, but I'd never read it. I didn't realize I didn't read it till I started reading it. And it's really hard not to kick myself for not reading it 20 years ago. So I'm like, how do I tell my friends? So I have at least a dozen friends who I shared this book with, and they all say, oh yeah, I have it. Oh yeah, I'll get to it. And I just want to grab them and shake them and say, get to it now. Your life depends on, and I know it sounds extreme, and yet it's true. I'm not just picking on people who I think are stuck or anything, but if you have not read that book or have not read that book lately, please read it. Please, please, please read it. It is so piercing. I was telling Valerie, the amazing woman who I have the immense blessing of sharing this life with and being married with, she's on board with it, and yet hasn't really engaged yet. So I finished it long before she got many pages into it. And we both used to study Kung Fu. And, in the school that we studied, we sparred, and we would wear sparring equipment. And some of the sparring equipment, I kind of refused to wear because it was just so uncomfortable. So I said to Valerie, it might be wise as when you do, get further into the book to find the box that has our sparring gear and wear it. Because, like, for me, it just felt like getting constantly kicked in the most sensitive parts of my body. And it was like, and then again, and just no defense, right? No defense, and there's no protective gear. Gary's work is, I would characterize as divinely inspired. It's interesting the way he talks about the way he writes. He writes with non-physical guides, guiding his words, right? Guiding his word processor. And it's just so apparent because it's so piercing and it's so filled with universal truth and it's so practical. So if you have not read that book lately or have never read it at all, read it or listen to it. And I really encourage you to do it now because your personality and your ego are going to say no. I guarantee you that. They're going to say, I am not going to read that. And they're going to judge it harshly, and they're going to judge me for suggesting it, and you're going to judge every other person, including Oprah Winfrey, who have ever suggested to anybody to read it. And, there's a reason why Gary was on the Oprah show more than 34 times, and there's a reason why in all of the years that Oprah has been exploring healing on a soul level, it's the one book that has never left her bedside table. It's the one book that has always had a place on her bedside table, which I think, here we are 25 years later, plus 25 years later, for that to still be true, especially to a woman like Oprah, who I see as probably like one of the most convicted people to figuring out life, to figuring out how to heal, in every way that we can heal. So I just get it. Go to your library, go to your favorite local bookstore, but look on your shelves first, because I'm highly confident that most of you probably have a copy sitting somewhere that, like mine, was just waiting for me to be ready for it. And that's the hard part. Like, God, I think, so this is a recent realization. I think one of the reasons why I'm an effective teacher, I'm an effective facilitator, I'm an effective guide, I'm effective at helping people to heal themselves, is because I tend to be in this life school, I tend to be in the remedial track, which means that, I don't know about you, but if you've ever had like a hard time getting something, you get it better than the kids that got it really super easy, right? And I hope that makes sense to you. That was certainly true for me academically, but it's also true for me on a soul level. It's like I am, and it's certainly not due to lack of want or desire or commitment, but it's the path that serves me the best. But to get me ready for this book, it took 20 plus years, and I have to laugh at that because it's hysterical. Like, how slow, how much resistance, how much judgment must I have had that was enabling me to not read that book for 20 plus years. So it's a fascinating, and yet, that's, I think, one of the reasons why I'm good at what I do, right? I'm good at showing up in service to others. I'm good at being, half a step ahead of others and being able to perhaps shorten the learning curve and so hopefully reduce the amount of pain and suffering. So it's fascinating, it's fun, and but my God bless Gary Zukov, and if anybody knows Gary, knows somebody that knows Gary, knows how to connect with Gary, I think he would absolutely adore source energy medicine because it's everything that he talks about in terms of transformation, and it's a tool to help to facilitate the process. So, for him and for his community, I mean, he's sold millions of books internationally. I absolutely believe deep in my heart that source energy medicine would be a tremendous support, a tremendous aid, a tool to help on this process. Because I think about doing that work with a subconscious mind calibrated low, or the calibration of every aspect of my being at different places. It's going to be harder. It's going to be slower. It's going to be a more difficult journey. And how could I not think about, okay, so 20 years with source energy medicine, but that's all conscious and unconscious side of the equation. Subconsciously, I was ready for it, 2004. So apparently, having everything come into alignment, but I would absolutely love just knowing that Gary Zukov knows about source energy medicine and knows the potential and possibility, and knows that we share everything that's essential for free. I think his commitment to helping to positively shift global human consciousness to recreating heaven on earth we have very, very, very similar missions and visions, and just playing in different ponds. So, well, my friends, I'd like to segue into the group energy healing session, and on your end, I invite you to get nice and comfortable and allow yourself to just honor the process, right? Honor your healing journey. Give thanks for the everything that it took to get you here, wherever it is that you're watching this, whenever it is that you're watching this. I think it's a phenomenal way to be able to prepare for this work through a heart that is filled with gratitude, through a heart that is filled with love, through a heart that is open and receptive to the source of all creation. So if you don't know much about the non-material aspect of source energy medicine, when we're done here, just search for source energy medicine non-material aspect, and it's called the non-material aspect because there's no material substance, right? N-O-N, material. There's no bottles, there's no charging labels, there's no water, it's just energy, right? It's particles or waves of light and information, and it all has specific intentions and attentions, but ultimately it is a way for you to experience unconditional love. So I turn my camera off so that what I'm doing is not distracting to you. There'll be some chanting, God willing, in the background as I do all of this. And, there is, there's a lot for you to know about this work, and I'm still coming to understand this work as well all of these years later. And yet I think it's important for you to recognize that, well, with life in general, there is no order of difficulty when it comes to miracles. And that's a teaching from A Course in Miracles. And A Course in Miracles also teaches us that miracles are our birthright. Not that long ago, I didn't get that. I thought miracles were reserved for saints, or those who were about to perhaps take their own lives, or those who were just in deep, 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 dark despair. And yet, miracles should be our all-day, everyday common experience. And when I am not experiencing a miracle, I'm blocking it in some way, right? There's resistance somewhere. And to a large degree, that's the intention of source energy medicine, right? To transform whatever it is that are those blocks. More often than not, those blocks are subconscious blocks. And yet, we also have them on the unconscious side of our minds as well. So the work is phenomenally fast. It'll probably take 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, something like that. I never know how long it's going to be. And on your end, the only thing for you to do is to allow, just to receive. While you are indeed healing yourself, I don't need you to do anything. So it often, people, especially those who are integrative wellness practitioners, like they feel like they have to help. And I encourage you to just allow, just receive, just be, and trust, right? And I get that trust is something that can be difficult. Certainly has been true for me at different times of my life. So just continue to breathe comfortably, continue to relax, turn off all your distractions, your notifications, your buzzers, your ringers, and just listen to the beautiful chanting. It's Eternal Om by Dick Sutpin, and I will be back in just a matter of a few minutes. SEM Mondays Live. I certainly hope that was a blessing to you, and in ways that perhaps you have not yet allowed yourself to imagine, right? Not yet allowed yourself to dream possible. So there is absolutely no limit to what's possible from any of these sessions on SEM Mondays. And revisiting the replay, either from the same SEM Mondays or another SEM Mondays, there are a lot of folks in our community who have used that as part of their wellness plan for staying well during COVID. And some folks are experiencing them once or twice or 3 times a day as a way of being able to just ground, to ground physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, to unplug from the fear and what can be a lot of negativity, a lot of animosity, and a lot of hostility, and just, bask in some unconditional love for a while. Try that for 90 days and see how your life is different. So, my friends, I checked the chat before jumping back on here, and I didn't see any questions, just some more awesome hellos. And God willing, I will indeed be back here next Monday for another installment of SEM Mondays Live. Between now and then, take very, 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 very good care of yourself and everyone that you encounter, because they're there because the source of all creation put them there for you to love. And sometimes they show up and they don't remember why the source of all creation put them there, and they might be kicking you in the shins or worse. And the proper response is still to love them. It doesn't mean you don't draw a healthy boundary or remove yourself from the situation, but not loving them is going to come back to you in a very direct and equal way. So spread love everywhere that you go. Be a blessing to all, because you are a blessing, and that is why the source of all creation created you, to bless, to love, to share your gifts, your talent, your beauty, your light, both inner and outer. And if anyone has any questions about the upcoming new non-material source energy medicine sessions club, just get in touch. We have live chat available on most of our pages and everything, and the brilliant, beautiful Milo handles most of that, a large majority of that. And it's awesome because he's not only like our tech guy, but he's so passionate about source energy medicine. He's so passionate about helping people. He's a super, super, super nice guy. So I do indeed hope that you decide to join us for that. It's going to be a unique way of being able to support you on your journey with source energy medicine. It's, just short of having regularly scheduled one-on-one sessions with me or with one of our non-material source energy medicine practitioners, which, for a lot of folks is not a viable option, right? I certainly don't have the schedule to work one-on-one with many people, and I think this, in addition to it certainly being a more cost-effective way, a group session creates a dynamic that is not there in a one-on-one session. So one of the parts of this that excites me the most is the energetic field that we will create in this sessions club is going to be something that's never existed before, and it is going to continue to expand, which means the potential and possibility will increase as we move forward and experience each session. And of course, each person that joins enhances that morphic field. So I hope that makes sense. And as always, I wish you continued blessings on your journey with source energy medicine. Bye for now.